Hello, everybody. It is Jamila McBride, and I am with, honestly, like, even thinking about you, Michelle, makes me want to cry because we have gone through so many emotions, so many ups and freaking crashes. We have connected at such a deeper level, which is why, girl, you are a master at connecting with professional, beautiful mamas and know how to hold space for us. So today, guys, I have this badass right here. Look, I don't know which way to point. I have this badass right here, Michelle De Kaiser, who honestly is a beautiful soul. She has gotten me uplifted in some serious times of need. At the same time that we have reciprocated this that we needed for each other from each other. And so today we're going to talk about what she does with women's circles and then who she is and are we even being successful? Even though I sat as witness to many other women saying the same thing of how much of a badass she is, what she has triggered and influenced in their lives, and yet societal thinking and conditioning, we still think we're not freaking successful. So, hello, everybody. It is Michelle Kaiser and Jamila McBride. We are Mindful Badass Mamas, and we're going to talk about her. So, let's go.
Uh-oh.
Who the heck are you? Who the heck are you?
Who the heck am I? Well, I'm someone who came along the way who felt like I was just completely lost in motherhood. I just felt like I don't know, I had this fog in my head. I had trouble keeping track of things. I was doing all the things I needed for the kids, having fun doing the play dates. It wasn't that I was enjoying it. I just felt like there was something missing, like just this fog in my head. And I just felt tired and no energy all the time. And again, it was actually around COVID when things kind of just came to a halt for me when I decided it's time to do something about it. We decided to homeschool the kids for a year. And I'm like, something in me has to change if I'm going to be able to keep up with them. And so on the same day of September 1st, 2020, I not only started to homeschool them, I started a program called the 75 Hard. And so these
Mm,
are one of those programs where you have to do all the checkoff marks. And so
yes.
2 exercises a day, drinking your water, exercising, diet, everything, right?
Yes.
And my husband kind of looked at me and goes, starts almost laughing, like, okay, one of these like fad things you're going to do again. But for some
Yes.
reason, this one stuck with me and I just kept checking off the days. And before I knew it, I was actually done with phase one. I mean,
Mhm.
the 75 big phase, 75 days.
Yes.
It's like 75 days in a row. If you don't do all the things, you start over. So I did all 75 days and took it upon myself to do all the phases in. However, the phases kind of spread out. So it takes you through an entire year, but you get breaks in between. So picture this, ladies, day 25 of phase three, 5 days away from completing the whole year challenge. I fall asleep reading my book and I wake up at 2:30 in the morning realizing I had not taken my picture. And it's funny because there's always like things on the podcast and stuff saying the picture kills you. Like it just get it done in the morning so you don't forget. And for some reason I didn't do it that day. And so
Ah,
at 2:30 in the morning I had this really groggy picture like, did I do it? Did I take it? And then it finally dawned on me. The words, it's about the journey, finally, for the first time in my life, really, really hit me.
yes.
That it was, I look back and I go, you know what? It really doesn't matter if the 5 days or whatever. The transformation has already happened. I've already lost the weight. The fog has been lifted. I've made those changes in who I was. And for that first time, it was like, there isn't necessarily that destination. It's about enjoying where you're at. And it was finally like, okay, I'm going to finish out my 5 days. I can say I finished to live the year long. I still I still say it because it's still like I woke up in the night, there's gray areas, whatever. But you know what? The shift has happened. And that's what this is about, is creating those shifts in us. And so for me, I did something really dramatic, I feel, to make that shift happen. And so I feel there's other ways to do that I've learned since then. And that's what brings me to my mama medicine, is through the connection in women's circle that I found a different way to create that same sort of transformation, but in a more connective inner way that connects us to each other. And
Yes.
that's what I bring then. But that started my transformation, then led me to discover all of this to be able to bring this unique way of transforming for other women in a different way, in a compassionate way, in a way of connecting with other women, which I feel at times we've had what you call the sisterhood wound. And people are like, oh, I don't really like women. I don't want to work with women. They're catty. They complain all the time. I don't want a woman boss. She just not any fun to work with. This is to help change that dynamic. Because when we come into an open feeling with each other and we actually support each other and truly listen to each other, that changes. And that's what we need to get back to create a change and a ripple in this world, is to bring that connection to each other and to then ripple effect that into our families, into because what this connection does for me and the purpose I'm doing and that I guide in our intention is to facilitate the genius inside of us. What are the things that we're good at, that we're inspired to do? And then we take those skills and apply them to our kids. So we help them figure out their genius. So we're all living and working to do things that we're good at rather than focusing on all the things we're bad, that we're quote unquote bad on, or good or bad. But really, those are such key words. It's really things we're passionate about and inspiring
Yeah.
that more.
I mean, I just took a bunch of notes here. It's the ripple effect with what you've done this week, because you've done 12 interviews over the last Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 days. In 3 days, you did 12 interviews with badass women around the US. Like when I was looking, whenever I got a chance and I got to hear little snippets, I'm like, damn, where you been? Where have you been? What? Like, you really know some women that are part of even bigger global missions that are on this road of healing this sister, this feminine wound in a way, right? That we think we cannot align with each other because either of the cattiness, or she's too good, or she thinks she's all that, or whatever it is. So you started first with yourself, with disciplining yourself consistently. And I've done the 75 hard. I've been through the 75 hard. And the guy that created, I can't remember his name,
Andy Facili.
super masculine, like roar, right? And
Beyond
that,
roar.
yes, like a lot. And in a feminine, that we're trying to take back the feminine energy, and not take back, but like really sit in it and understand it and know that we own it, right? That the feminine power is actually powerful. It was bucking for me, because I was like, well, what is my femininity look like, right? And so it was beautiful because I got to experience that masculine energy and then experience my brilliance feminine energy. So I love that you're saying 75 hard, because it is very disciplined. It is very, like, something as small, I say, as taking a picture, right? As knowing, did I really read the 10 pages? Did I really follow through for myself? And I say that, Michelle, because I was at an orientation, because I'm going to go back to work part time. Everybody, surprise! I'm going back to work for the school system locally. And if this is where you have seen it, yes, I no longer work for the Row House in Winston-Salem. I love them. They were the biggest support for me in this transformation in my mind, my body, and my soul. Yet there are bigger things that I am working on, and this is the next step. And as I was sitting there in the last trek of 24 slides, I kind of like almost dozed off, and my future self, I know this sounds crazy, everybody, but my future self nudged me and said, get up. The way you show up here is the way you're going to show up for everything else. And I was like it took my breath, like, she's here. She's here. All right. So I say all that to say, I felt her here in your circle a month ago, 2 months ago.
A month ago.
And you're doing that same kind of circle tonight.
Yes.
So please drop that link so that everybody can join us. Women, if you're wanting to experience who that one inside that is already there, she ain't over there. We're not trying to chase a future version of us. She's here. Michelle, tell us about that. Why a circle?
Well, let me back up a little bit to say what I'm launching this week. So this entire week, I started on Sunday launching the mindful. You got your words on me, Mama Genius Hub podcast, because what I want to do is create that hub for moms who want to experience their genius. And so if they're struggling to figure out what it is, that's a place for you. If you kind of already know what it is, want some practical tips, that's where I'm bringing in a lot of guest speakers and people who might be able to give you the practicalities of how a busy mom can make those things happen. Because a lot of times we're like, we can get the business stuff, right? But how does it apply to an actual busy mom and their schedule? And so those are the questions I prompt with these experts. So like, for instance, Mila was on, who's talking about self-publishing, but we were gearing those questions to how to fit that into a busy mom schedule, not just let's self-publish. Let's make sure we're giving you tidbits of how to make it into that schedule. So that's what this is for. It's about creating your genius. But then we're also going to the child aspect of how to bring that out of your kids as well, giving you tips and things of how to navigate motherhood, how to bring that genius out in your kids, and how to collaboratively do that together, that you're having more connection because you're doing things you like together. So that's all about the genius in both the mom and you and your children, to bring it together to create a bigger connection for you and your family and create that ripple effect. Now, the women's circle comes into that, which is in the, again, genius is an acronym. So the I is igniting connection. And so the women's circle falls into that, because that's really how for women that we ignite that connection.
Yeah.
Because when we come together and we sit in circle, we have a deeper kind of conversation where we're not just responding to each other and having that back and forth. We're intentionally listening to each other, intentionally answering a specific aspect that was brought up to center the circle. And then when it is your turn to talk, you can also choose to pass. Sometimes you just coming in need to listen. That is okay too. It is your comfort level. But also at the same time, when you do get that chance to talk, you'll be surprised by what response comes out of you, because the circle will open up your heart to talk, which we're so stuck in our head. And so in this kind of capacity, it's your quickest way to get to what is your genius. What are the things that I'm passionate about to bring it out of me? And that is the whole point of the circle, is help ignite those ideas and you speak from the heart and figure out what is inside of there, releasing all the boundaries of what the world's telling you to do and everything, but just coming together and other women who want that same desire. That energy opens up all of our hearts together to create that safe space to share those thoughts and then take witness of what came out of you and what came out of everyone else. Because we really there's two ways to get things out of your head. One way is really to get on paper so you can analyze it and look at it. The second way is to speak it and be witnessed by another human being.
Yeah.
But that does not always feel comfortable. That does not always feel safe. So my job, my medicine, is to create that safety space for you to make that a possibility for you. And again, like I said, first circle, don't feel obligated that you have to speak. Only if you feel compelled to speak. As soon as we kind of sit in an actual circle in the Zoom room, one of the things I was able to pull together through Zoom, and so it makes us feel, and so we kind of go in that order so people know, so you have that expectation. At the same time, at any point you just say, pass. And you were just there to be part of the witness and feel the energy, and whenever you are ready. But this, I have found through my journey, is one of the best ways to really speak from the heart and to really get that into action quicker, because you have the support of the women around you.
And honestly, when you create this safe space, that is when we could come in and practice that in a safe space, to then when we go into what we feel it might not be a safe space, we're practicing it there as well. And so that's what I found with your group. And even when I went to Unleash the Power Within, you're practicing into your nervous system techniques that are going to support you when you go into the quote real world, because there's going to be opportunities, and all of these are opportunities for us to grow together. And so you've impacted thousands of women. You've written books, not just by yourself, but with your children. You have done so much in your community, through your community, outside of your community, and yet, and we still struggle with success. And what does success look like? Let's talk about that, because honestly, people want to stay on here because there's some drama. All right. Nobody goes to a movie because everything's perfect in the beginning, perfect in the middle, and perfect at the end. People want to see that whole up and down. They want to know that, number one, that they're safe, that they're okay in their own F ups, in their own failures. So, what is success, Michelle? Like if we were just to ask right now without any conditioned response, like what do we say success is?
For me, though, I think part of my problem with the idea of success and stuff is that I struggle to set like specific numerical goals or monetary goals. I struggle with that as a creative. And so then, like for instance, everyone's like asking, how's this launch going? Well, I'm getting awesome feedback, I'm getting responses, but I didn't set necessary numbers in my head to like how many downloads was I expecting, or how many this, or and honestly, I am on Apple now. I got it on today. So I wasn't even on Apple till today because I didn't realize it was still in draft setting because I didn't hit a button or something. And so all these little tidbits, but I on iHeartRadio now, on Google Play, like all these, I double checked everything this morning. That was one of the things I was doing. So they're on the major platforms right now. Mama Genius Hub. But part of that is just then like, so is it the outside stuff? What are we calling success? However, when I look for success in myself, I mean, at the launch party, the responses I got from people who are in the room who've been seeing me in this are like, who are you and what happened to you? Like, we just saw your power come forth. Like, I got this DM like, oh my God, like that's the leader we've been waiting for. And here you are. And like, so that is coming forth. But then the monetary and trying to provide for my family at the same time isn't here yet. And I think that is also one of the things we have as women, is that we struggle to think that we're worthy of bringing that in as well. And I think that's one of the things I also want to create in this aspect of money, is because the more that we have purchasing power, because we purchase all kinds of stuff, but we don't purchase on ourselves. We purchase for our family, we purchase for our kids or things, but to purchase for ourselves is such a hard aspect. But if we change that dynamic that we're purchasing from each other to learn from each other and lift each other up, then we're going to create the leadership that we need in this world to create the dynamics that's going to give you that more feminine circle aspect. Because the idea of circle is a form of communication. And if you listen to was it the episode with Sandy I did? No, it was Eliza. The live I just did with Eliza yesterday, we were talking about listening circles and how she's used it for corporations who are struggling in having conflict with each other, and how when you sit in a circle with different principles, that you go around and you truly have to listen to them without the crosstalk. Like, it's not like releasing that and learning those principles and how to communicate and truly listen to the way we are all part of this humanness. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We all have opinions. But instead of listening for you right, me wrong, listening for, let me see where you're coming from. Let me understand the intention behind you. Yes. And when you listen for that, it changes the conversation. And then you don't have to agree with each other, but then you're more likely to be able to come up with solutions that work for both of you. Compromise becomes more acceptable when you're doing that. And so that's what we're saying when we're guiding with circle principles, is that it's not just women's circles, but it's a principle that we want to get out into how we communicate with it. I mean, if we were talking about, I think it was with Liza or Sandy, that we're like, what if Congress sat in circle and had discussions in that capacity of how our dynamics would be different just in how we come to agreements? Because when we come together and we realize that everyone in the seat is a leader, not just a person in front of the room, not just the expert, which is the truth. We all have worthiness within us. We all have a message to share, every single one of us. There's no one in this world that does not. And when we sit in that circle, each one of us is in a leadership seat to share those ideas with each other and to learn from each other and to listen and witness each other. And that is a huge difference. And when you have someone in front of the room giving a presentation, I'm the expert, I know everything. Now the audience has to listen to it, disseminate it, and then figure out what to do with it. In circle, you have ideas that are presented as a facilitator that you then you share your opinions. And as it goes around, you're able to process that in yourself to then take an action with you versus have to then now go, oh my God, my mind's swimming, I got to go figure it out. That's the big difference.
Yeah, and there is a difference, and there is a time for that. And like, let me get back to the success. I find that and it's been like 30 days. You and I have literally committed to every single day creating the numbers to what we're doing, right? So because you said how many podcasts versus how many blogs? Because you have a number for that, right?
What do you mean?
You said that there are X amount of blogs, X amount of podcasts. Like there was
No,
a
I
number.
was talking about the downloads, but I was struggling. So November, my birthday on October 25th, as of that date, this November 12th was supposed to be a blog launch. And I was going to have all these interviews turned into a blog. On my birthday, I decided, like, I got off the phone with a call about the blog, and I was like, I was just crying, and I'm like, I can't do this. This doesn't feel right. And so on that day, I decided I'm going to turn this into a podcast. So from October 25th to November 12th, so a little over like 2 weeks and a day or something, I created a podcast. So right now, as of today at 1 p.m., 9 episodes will be released.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 per week coming up. And I might even start doing 3 because I have the interviews already lined up. I'm going to start doing some solo episodes. And the first episode is solo to explain Genius, but the second one is I've been requested to talk specifically about the 2-week process and how I was able to do all of this in 2 weeks. I mean, I had the interviews due, and there's a lot of things back end that was kind of done, but a lot of it was not.
Well, let me draw attention to that, because that is where I want to lead the audience, especially this time, because 2 weeks, like, dang, 2 weeks. Like, you did all that, regardless that we had things in the drive, and regardless of all that stuff, you put this shit together in 2 weeks, right? Not only
Yep.
that, but you spoke to 12 different beautiful humans over the last 3 days, and were a mom, and were a partner, and did your failures, and got up, and did your meditations, and. So I'm saying that because it wasn't until you and I put dates, figures, wrote things out, right? Was very specific. What were the 2 things that you and I learned about Joe Dispenza saying, right? An elevated emotion and a very clear intention. And when we get into dreaming, and that's what I talked about yesterday with the group of women, is when we're dreaming, and Disney's like, when you wish upon a star, make no, right? People think it's this airy fairy thing, and it is. Initially, it's like you're dreaming and believing, but then it has to come with that masculine energy that even the women has. We all have access to the feminine and the masculine energy. And when you decided, you put that emotional, like, shit, I'm good with my voice, because you are. You've done a session with me over the phone, and you hit it on the head, right? And so when we can honor our gifts and stop looking at what we're not good at. If we ain't good at it, we ain't good at it. Why am I going to get a fish to walk up a damn tree? Seriously? And I want to focus. Well, let me give you some more group meditation. Let me give you some more, whatever, all these techniques that they're out there, because that fish, he ain't walking up that tree. He ain't climbing up that tree. What if we don't need to climb up the damn tree?
Well, it comes back to the 80-20.
Yes. Yeah.
Because the 80-20, we can do it 2 ways, because a lot of people spend 80% doing the actions and the tasks and the things, and the 20% doing the work. Whereas the 80% is really doing the work to figure out what tasks to do. Yes. And so as soon as I switched from blog to podcast, the 20% became the 2 weeks of being able to get the podcast launched, because it was the aligned actions that I felt that actually felt aligned to me, versus a year of trying to do this blog.
Yes. So I want to end this because I don't want it to be too long, so that they can go back and look at all of your other amazing women that have anywhere from writing your own book, and you're still a mom, right? As a mom, we're like, well, do we have time? Can we really do this? Look, time is man-made, and I don't work in time.
Well,
I work in energy.
Sorry, I'm going to cut you off for 1 second, because you just said time. It's
Yeah.
11:11 Central Time right now. So it's my call to say that what you're grateful for, and my watch just went off. And
Yes.
so I'm just grateful for this conversation and getting our messages out there. And
Yes.
so I just want everyone who's listening to this, or even on the replay, just take a moment to think of one thing that you're grateful for. Because again, the more we're living in gratitude, and the program that Jamalia and I are doing together, it was talking about looking at the gratitude from your future self, already being grateful for those things in your future that are is. And a lot of us are missing that aspect of gratitude, is thinking that's it's what we have, but it's also what is coming, and what then making that being in the present now and being grateful for those components. And so the more gratitude that we're exuding and realizing the things that we have and not the lack of, the power, again, it's all just finding your genius, figuring out what in you needs to come out. It's different in each one of us, but we all have it. And
All
let's find it and support each other in bringing it out.
And what I love is that once we can connect, right? And you're doing the circle tonight. Once we can connect to that highest self, because the highest self knows. That highest self is the child who always knew and then was conditioned with schools and moms who were afraid and all this stuff. But once we know that we know, just like we know the sun is going to come up, we know the moon is going to come up, even if the clouds are clouding him up, right? Our mind is clouding up the idea. It's still there.
Yeah.
All things work together for our good. So, this is your call to action. Should you choose to live the life that you came to live, full of purpose, full of wealth in cash money, in relationships, in yourself, in your purpose, in delivering your children a different story than what you were fed, if this is what you desire, mamas, I'm telling you, find this badass mama right here. She has the circle where you could start and just show up. You don't even have to have your camera on at first. Whatever it is, but showing up is that clarity that I want something. I don't know what it is. I want something, and allow her to help you process through that. The second thing is declaring it to a group of mothers, a group of women that are already doing it, even if they're scared shitless, even if they don't think they're being successful, declaring it to women that are going to text you and say, I see you, get your butt up, let's do this together, right? Or let's pray together, or let's meditate together, or let's do something together to get you back on track. And the last thing is demand it more from yourself than you ever have. The 75 hard only works because you are committed to yourself, to showing up for yourself. And that's what the Mindful Badass Mama show is. Is it going to be on TV? Yes, it is. But it's about the show of your life, showing up for yourself. On Sunday, we're going to be showcasing several mothers, Michelle being one of them, who is going to show the life of a mama who is creating her dreams and even the pitfalls that we have, because we're not perfect. What we want, though, is to live a life worth living. Michelle, any last comments?
I had one and then it just escaped my head, but it was about showing up,
Yes.
because show up as you are. Don't worry about the hair. Don't worry about what's going on. Like
Car.
the best you could do to get a quiet spot, but regardless,
Yes.
show up
Yes.
you if you need to. And if you are making it tonight, bring a candle, a pen, and a paper. Those are just they're optional, but they're helpful to have. And I do have we have one comment from the audience. For me, fulfillment is success is checking all the boxes, especially the finances. If it's missing, I don't feel I have attained success. And I feel that's a lot of us coming that way too. And so we're working together to elevate that and change that. And that's what we're doing in Circle. That's what this is all about, is changing that dynamic, opening up our hearts, because we have been so disconnected from each other. I mean, think about this. We live in our own little boxes. We drive our own little boxes. Women used to commute by the river, doing their laundry, having that natural. It became natural. Now it's unnatural to us,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still in there. We just need to bring it back, to take the layers away and to peel them back. So the first step is to come tonight. That's the first step.
Show up for yourself. The second step is Sunday, come and look at some crazy, mindful, badass mamas and how they were committed to making sure that this segment of their dream is still going to happen, even in the pitfalls. I thank you so much, guys, for showing up here and staying this long. As far as money, I am a money making machine. I am a money making machine. Remember that. We created humans inside of our bodies. We can create anything we desire. Thank you so much,
Especially
Michelle.
when we do it together.
Huh?
Especially when we do it together.
Oh my God, so much more fun. So much more fun. All right,
Bye,
ladies.
everyone.
Bye.